For every New England Patriots fan, whoever the heck you are, you have your ideal offseason plan for the Patriots. They're going to pick up this wide receiver. They're going to get these offensive linemen. In the draft in Green Bay 2025, late April, they are going to go wild and get a lot of young talent that is going to do well for years to come. And that's the dream. That's the hope. That's what we want. But already the Patriots have had one door shut, but the good thing is many more doors are going to open. Let's jump into that. My name is Aaron. You guys know on the daily, pushing out Patriots content to people just like you. Can't get enough Patriots football. So do me a favor, if you can, if you have not already, just stop 1 second. Just stop, hit the subscribe button. Mean the world to me. Hit that like button and comment below at some point. I'll ask you at some point. Let's talk. Let's chat. Let's comment. Whatever. Let's dive in. So today, we're jumping into T. Higgins. It'd be good if you could see it. Here we go. T. Higgins, the Cincinnati Bengals have came out and said that they are most likely, my fault, they have not come out, but a lot of insiders have reported it is most likely that they are not going to come to an agreement on an extension, and they will franchise tag T. Higgins again. He will be getting a guaranteed $26 million, most likely. This is a non-exclusive franchise tag, so basically meaning if another team wanted to swoop in and woo T. Higgins and give up 2 first-round draft picks this year and the next year, they could do it. But I would be very, very surprised if someone did that for someone like T. Higgins. But again, you never know. If Elliott Wolf and the Patriots do that, shame on you. That would be a stupid thing to do. But all things point to T. Higgins getting this franchise tag. If that is the case, as I said earlier in the episode, that door is being shut, but that is okay. There's other opportunities for the Patriots. Now, in this article, this gentleman talks about how the wide receiver position is the biggest need for the Patriots. I disagree. If you watched the New England Patriots last year, that offensive line, my grandparents, not with us any longer, could have blocked much better than that offensive line. And your jaw might have dropped right there. I did not plan on saying that, but that just goes to show how rough that offensive line was. It was like Swiss cheese. There was holes everywhere. It was tough to watch. Now, as Drake May stepped into that role as quarterback and Jacoby Brissett was sat on the bench, he had a little more mobility. As I had said all season, that Drake May looks incredibly more comfortable in the pocket, even though the pocket is there sometimes and not there sometimes, but he can improvise. But that being said, offensive line needs the most work. Wide receivers, definitely second, but offensive line, number one. But moving forward, the question is, okay, so if T. Higgins is out of the question in free agency, who is next? Now, I think this is a great list of 6 great receivers, and I'm going to be very honest with you. There's one I want, and that's Chris Godwin from the Buccaneers. I think that he would be a great choice. Again, I don't know. There's some people that are like, is he going to be able to come in and be that true number 1 receiver? But I think he can come in and make a huge impact for the Patriots, be a great receiver for Drake May. He's been fun to watch with Baker Mayfield passing to him down in Tampa Bay. Again, he is going to want some money. I don't think it's going to be as much as T. Higgins, obviously, which is also another silver lining. But moving forward on this list, I'm going to be straightforward with you. This is the only player I want. Now, you might go down this list and comment below. You might want other wide receivers here, and that's fine. That's fine. Chris Godwin is the only one I would want on the New England Patriots. Again, we go back to what we intro the video with is your ideal scenario. Now, I like T. Higgins. Younger guy, sure he had been injured some, but the potential to be a true number 1. Now, that's most likely out of the question. So, Chris Godwin, I like. That's my number 1. Darius Slayton, no, not necessarily. Now, I think he has been held back by the quarterback play for the Giants, but I don't think that he's going to come in and be that true number 1 receiver again for the New England Patriots. Now you might say, well, Aaron, they could get someone in in the draft. We'll talk about that momentarily as well. But looking at this, not a huge fan of Darius Slayton. Next, DeAndre Hopkins. I'm going to tell you straightforward. Too old. I saw him drop one in the Super Bowl, and I was just like, gosh, I hate it for him. I hate it for him. I thought it was so cool. He wore that mink jacket that his dad said, like, hey, I'm going to wear this to, your Super Bowl or whatever it was. Very, very cool story. And maybe you will win a Super Bowl at some point, but I think he's going to want to be somewhere where he has that opportunity. He could have it with the Patriots. I'm not selling the Patriots short, but again, he's older, not worth going out and getting him. Keenan Allen, same thing, old. You're going to see a consistent theme in this list, and it is old players. Again, not a huge fan of Keenan Allen. I think he had a great time with the Chargers. I think his time in the NFL is dwindling. Amari Cooper, another one. Sure, again, he's on the back end of his career in his 30s. Not interested, but I would tell you of all these older players, he's probably the one I'd probably be most interested in. Again, not saying he is at the top of my list, but of this list of free agents. Next up, Stephon Diggs. No drama. Don't want to deal with it. I think he's an incredibly talented wide receiver, but I think ever since he had the drama in Buffalo and in whatnot, it's been an issue. I think he's going to stay with the Texans as well. So we'll see. But that being said, of this list, sorry, I'm flying back here. Chris Godwin is the only wide receiver I would like. Comment below if you disagree. Who would you like to see from this list of top free agent wide receivers? Now, as we move forward, this is a very fun list, and this is actually on Patriots.com. You can check this out, but it gives you tiers of wide receivers that are available in this year's draft. Now, last year's draft, there were a plethora of great of great wide receivers. So Brian Thomas came out, balled out with the Jaguars. Malik Neighbors, absolute dog. And man, even with someone like Daniel Jones throwing the ball and then other quarterbacks, it will be fun to watch him. Brock Bowers, a tight end, but we know the new tight end is a tight end that can play play the H-back, can go out and play slot, can go play. Literally, they can play anywhere for the most part on the field. Brock Bowers is a lot of fun to watch. Ladd McConkey, who could have been a freaking Patriot. He did well with the Chargers. Marvin Harrison Jr., even though he was the top wide receiver in this class, statistically did great statistically, but not at the top of this rookie class. Rome Odunze, Xavier Worthy, Keon Coleman. So there was a lot of rookie wide receivers that contributed. Last year, you could easily say, and I've said this before, not only was it the best quarterback class, but you look at wide receivers as well. Offensive weapons. It was a great class this past year. Now, the reason I bring up this past year going into this year is it seems that it is not as top heavy as it was last year. This year, I think there's a couple people at the top that people would say, okay, they're worth, top 10 pick, and that's Travis Hunter, which is interesting because, again, he is trying out as a cornerback in the combine. But again, if you've watched him play, and I remember watching him play back when he was at Jackson State, he was playing in the Celebration Bowl, and literally they would throw him up 50-50 balls, and it was crazy the moves he would do. So again, I would also tell you this: I don't necessarily think he is the best wide receiver in this class. I think he's, or necessarily the best quarterback. A cornerback. I would say that's Will Johnson, and that's McClellan. And you might disagree with that, but all-around athlete, hands down, Travis Hunter. I see why he won the Heisman for sure. But moving on from that, you see McMillan is that kind of tier 2, which is crazy because it's him, Travis Hunter, and then it's just like a bunch of other tiers with a bunch of other people. But basically this is saying these are the two. McMillan is a guy that I've watched a lot of film on. Watched him when he was at Arizona. I love college football. He is fun to watch. But the question has become, and again, his combine could change things, but I saw him as sneaking into a top 5 pick. And if that was the case, that would be great for the New England Patriots to take. But again, what we talked about yesterday is we shouldn't just get a need because we can answer the need immediately right there. If we can get a player, and I know you're like, that sounds stupid. Listen, hear me out. If we can get an edge rusher, a defensive tackle, and Mason Graham or Abdul Carter that fall into our lap, Why wouldn't we take that could be a absolute generational talent over an offensive lineman that would probably be an average Joe any other draft? Yeah. Or a wide receiver. And again, that doesn't mean and this is just based on a lot of mock draft analysis from scouts and whatnot in different sources. But when it comes down to it, I like McMillan, just not at 4. I think a while ago I did, now I don't. And so it'd be interesting to see if Hunter and Carter were gone. And again, the situation we talked about that Bill Simmons talked about, where someone would be willing to trade up because most likely there would be Cam Ward. One of those quarterbacks would be available. They would be, because at that point, Abdul Carter's gone. That's 1. Travis Hunter's gone. That's 2. And then whoever, let's say the Giants pick one of the quarterbacks, there's still 1 quarterback available. Is someone willing to trade up? Sure, you trade back down because you didn't get one of those guys, or you get Mason. You could still get Mason Graham if you switch for that 6th spot with the Raiders or whatever. But even then, if you went farther back and ended up getting McMillan, I don't think that's bad, especially if you add on another draft pick, possibly in the 2nd round, or where it might be. But I don't think that's an unwise decision necessarily. And then we drop into other tiers. Burden at Missouri, so played in SEC, very speedy receiver. But what's interesting is the Patriots slot wise. You've heard me say it before. I love Pop. I'm a big Demario Douglas guy. I think he's great. I think he has a ton of potential coming out of Liberty. I think he has that chip on his shoulder as well. I think Kayshon Boutte, and I think a lot of you, I know a lot of you agree that he has potential to continue to flourish as well. And so I think the big thing is finding that receiver, that number 1 receiver, not necessarily a complementary receiver. And that doesn't mean that any of these these people could only be those. Emeke out of Ohio State, really loved watching him. Interesting, they compare him to literally another Ohio State guy. But he's a Z, he's a slot. Matthew Golden, fun to watch at Texas. Deion Branch, what's up, dog? A slot as well. And then we continue to go, and we don't drop back down to someone that I talked about. Here is Jaden Higgins, interesting guy. So taller guy, bigger guy. They say he's a day 2 McMillan, so that would be interesting. So not as versatile as McMillan, where they said McMillan is like a Drake London, so has that athleticism, runs great routes, speed, quickness, all those different things with the size. So this is like a lower end. It's like Legos and Mega Blocks. You got Legos as McMillan, and then Mega Blocks as Higgins. If you're a Mega Blocks fan, I'm sorry for the ripping on him. But the one guy I really want to jump into, and Trey Harris, also interesting, not a trailblazer, not crazy fast, but is your prototypical X receiver. Jalen Royals, also interesting at the slot. Jaden Reed, love that comparison. I'm a Michigan State guy. I've seen him mocked to the Patriots as well. But the one, where's my TCU guy? Savion Williams, a guy we've talked about. I'm really surprised he's this low on this list. But when it comes down to it, he has that size. He has the speed for that size. Not always necessarily great with the ball, catching the ball, but great wide receiver. And so when we look at it, when we take a step back and we say, okay, again, the door has been shut most likely on T. Higgins. The next question for this front office is, okay, who's next? Chris Godwin. Again, I don't think it'd be wise unless it was just a crazy great scenario for the Patriots to trade. I don't think they need to do that. Again, with all the cap space they have. Go out and find a wide receiver that is going to come in, be a leader, and make an impact, and be that number 1 wide receiver. I think they have that potential. As well, they have so many picks this year. They are going to, you better believe it, solidify that offensive line. They'd be idiots not to, but also sprinkle in some wide receivers. We have seen in drafts much like the running back position, there are diamonds in the rough that can be found in this draft. And I think like Royal, that is from Utah State that I talked about, I think he's a diamond in the rough. I think he's someone who could come in and make an impact. Now, that's what we thought again with Polk and Baker. Still have hope from them. We'll see what happens. But I think as time moves on into March, you're going to hear more chirping about some like Chris Godwin and these other free agents, and see insider reporting saying, hey, there's more speculation that based on this, the Patriots are going to want to make a move or will make a move on this player. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'm excited for it. Again, I'm going to just tell you straightforward, I like Chris Godwin. I like what he brings to the table. When it comes to the draft the best available person when it comes to that number 4 spot. So if that's Abdul Carter, snag him. If it's trading back, get Mason Graham, or even taking Mason Graham right there, I think that is also a good pick. But I think, Will Campbell, is he worth that number 4 pick? If you can trade back, try to trade back. So it's such a give or take what happens when door shuts, other opens, but how are they going to be able to move and how are they going to be able to plan this? So comment below. We're talking a lot of receivers. Golly, I've been talking for 60 minutes. This guy's just talking forever. I love it, though. I love it. Love you guys. Appreciate you. Hit the subscribe button. Tell me what you think at wide receiver. Give me your full details, the ideal scenario right now. Also, hit the subscribe button. I think I said that twice. Who cares? I'm getting tired. We'll talk later. Peace.